I got a lot of flack over a video I posted. All these cops and these military vets hop on this video I made. It's got about 80,000 views, and no, you're wrong. America's gonna rise up again. No, let me read you a little bit of something that was written by John Dickinson and Thomas Jefferson on July 6th, 1775, a year before they submitted the Declaration of Independence to the King of England, okay? I don't have this one memorized yet, so I got to read it. Our cause is just, our union is perfect, our internal resources are great, and, if necessary, foreign assistance is undoubtedly attainable. We gratefully acknowledge, as signal instances of the divine favor towards us, that his providence would not permit us to be called into such severe controversy until we were grown up to our present strength, had been previously exercised in warlike operation, and possessed the means of defending ourselves. With hearts fortified with these animating reflections, we most solemnly, before God and the world, declare that exerting the utmost energy of those powers which our beneficent Creator has graciously bestowed on us, the arms we are being compelled by our enemies to assume, we will, in defiance of every hazard, with unabating firmness and perseverance, employ for the preservation of our liberties, being with our one mind resolved to die free men than live slaves. And you don't hear nobody talking like that. There ain't nobody, I don't care if it's Ron Paul, I don't care if it's Rand Paul, I don't give a goddamn who it is in Congress right now. There ain't nobody that talks like that today. And they especially don't say nothing like this. They especially don't say nothing what was written next in this Declaration for the causes and necessity of taking up arms that was written by Thomas Jefferson and John Dickinson, like I said, July 6th, 1775. Listen to this part. In our own native land, in defense of the freedom that is our birthright, and which we ever enjoyed till the late violation of it, for the protection of our property, acquired solely by the honest industry of our forefathers and ourselves, against violence actually offered, we have taken up arms. We shall lay them down when the hostilities shall cease on the part of the aggressors, and all danger of their being renewed shall be removed and not before. A lot of y'all just filed your taxes on April 15th. You filed your tax return with the IRS because you were scared if you didn't, the police, the feds were going to come to your house and hold guns in your face, take you to prison, haul you off to trial, and convict you of not paying your taxes and throw you in prison. In your own native land, your aggression is brought to your doorstep like Terry Hughes, who is in the complete exercise of his natural, inalienable right as protected by the Second Amendment, and they served a federal indictment on him, and he killed them motherfuckers that tried to come out to his house and violate his God-given, natural, inalienable right to keep and bear arms. Now, the Ninth Circuit, which is California and all that shit out west, has said, nah, felons are part of we the people that the Second Amendment mentions, and therefore you can't infringe on that right. And this was the understanding of it from all the way back in the founding era. There were felonies that you could get convicted of in the founding era to where you face a death penalty. This is a serious fucking felony. Or you could be put on an American warship for 3 years and serve 3 years imprisonment on that warship, and then you go back to life. And on a warship, last I checked, you had like guns and cannons and pistols and blunderbusses and grenades and every kind of fucking explosive or firearm or any kind of weapon of offense or defense that you could imagine was on those ships. One of those, quote, warships was John Hancock's Liberty. Liberty was a ship that could be mounted with 18 guns on it. 9 guns on each side, 9 cannons on each side, an 18 cannon ship. And the president of the and John Hancock was a private citizen, but the president of the United States will get on television and lie to the American public, lie to their faces and say, well, you couldn't own a cannon. Well, how did John Hancock outfit all of his ships that he went over to the Dutch republics and got all those goods from? All the tea and the firearms and all this, all the textile fabrics and stuff. They went over there to the Netherlands, the Dutch republics, and got them and shipped them back over here, and they protect their ships from pirates. How did they do that if they were private citizens, didn't have a government instituted to protect them, huh? No. Thomas Jefferson wrote, and he published, him and John Dickinson wrote and published, The Necessity and Causes for the Taking Up Arms. This is the declaration that they wrote a year before they sent the Declaration of Independence to notify we the people that it's time. It's time to defend our liberties and our freedoms with our very life if we need to. That's why it was written at the end of the Declaration of Independence with a firm reliance on divine providence. We pledge each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Now, there's none of that left today. You don't have a hill of beans worth of men that think like that. I do. I think like that, but ain't a whole lot of people pounding down my door to be my friend. You know, it's a very unpopular opinion to hold in today's world to say that healthcare is not a right. The right to healthcare that you have is to not put poison in your mouth. So if you're fat, you got fat. You're the one that kept shoving the cookies in there. I didn't do that. You did that. So you don't have a right to take money out of my pocket to pay for the diseases that will come along from you being morbidly obese and eating high fructose corn syrup that comes from GMO corn made by Monsanto, Frankenstein corn, and artificial dyes and food colorings and all kinds of stuff that are neurotoxins that make you literally, you're awake and you're walking around, but you're not awake and you're not even thinking because of this shit in your food. So it's a very unpopular opinion to say healthcare is not a right. And a woman doesn't have a right to kill anybody, even if it's a baby growing in her womb. She doesn't have a right to kill anybody. She has a right to be responsible for her actions. And if she was raped, and there's a child conceived from this rape, there are plenty of other avenues in punishing the child for what some fucked up motherfucker did. Take the person who raped her, stop the war on drugs, and spend all that fucking money catching rapists and solving rape crimes. In North Carolina, the state that I live in, they had over 16,000 untested rape kits sitting on the shelf. They said they didn't have enough personnel to test these rape kits. They just got to them. Some of them been sitting there for a decade. And out of 16,000 rape kits, they only made 170 some arrests. Well, they got millions of dollars to fight the war on drugs, which is never going to end because humans, just like other creatures, like a fucking dolphin, will get a blowfish and mess with this blowfish until it produces a toxin so the dolphin can get high and have a good time. And there's lemurs in South America that pick up a fucking centipede and mess with the centipede till it produces a toxin, and then the lemur's like, in the tree. And the lemur has a right to do that. And the fucking reindeer eat mushrooms in Norway. They find a fly agaric, the Amanita muscaria, and they eat these shits and they get fucking high on them and jump like 10 times higher than they normally would be able to because they're all giddy and high on these mushrooms. That's where the myth of the flying reindeer comes from. That's where Santa Claus with his red suit and his white dots on his red suit and his little helpers got those mushroom-shaped hats. Do your studies before you want to worship Saint Nick. You're worshiping a mushroom, okay? So, well, I went off on a rant there, didn't I? Boy, that's going to get some comments, I bet. They're going to be all over that one. There will never be a man like Thomas Jefferson who would pen the things that he did, who would take the thoughts from his mind and pour them out through a pen on paper and come up with ideas that are expressible, that are articulatable, like we hold these truths to be self-evident, that God has created all men equal. You see, that's an axiomatic truth, and this is a huge list of axiomatic truths that he penned, that God has created all men equal, that he has endowed them with certain inalienable rights, that among those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. You see how you keep saying that? It's because we hold these truths to be self-evident. What truths? Well, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You see that? So the 1776 will never happen again. You'll never have anybody print and disseminate a letter like this, the necessity and causes of taking up arms. It'll never happen again. People are scared to think like this. They're scared to talk like this in today's America. You're welcome, America.